All right, everybody, so I'm back again with another review. This is the Bay Area's only toy reviewer, Carl, and I know, I am not a Batman guy. I'm not. But I have so much respect for The Dark Knight Returns. And I noticed I rambled a lot in the previous videos, and sometimes I reiterate the same points over and over again, so I'll try to do something about that. This guy, you guys know who this is. Like, I don't know how to explain to you who this is or what his abilities are. I'm sure if you're watching this, then you know. This is a Dark Knight Returns Batman. And this guy, whereas I am not a Batman guy, this dude, in my opinion, is excellent. And before this goes any further, let's just get into the articulation real quick. His head goes around 360. It's on a ball peg, I believe. Goes down to about there. Goes up to about there, which is fine because he's just this hulking brute and he doesn't really, his head doesn't go up that high. That's fine. His arm does go around 360, but it's hindered by his cape. And we will talk about that. His arm goes out to about there, which is very nice. He has a bicep swivel. All the joints are really, really tight. No forearm swivel. Yeah, no forearm swivel, but he does have a wrist swivel. Same thing on the other side. His abdominal hinge gets him down to about there. Back to about there. It will go further, but it's hindered by his cape, and we will talk about that. He does have a waist swivel, but it's sort of hindered by his belt here, and we will get into that. He has a his leg gets into about there, back to about there. And what I really, really like about this design, and they did this with the Superman. Okay, so for The Dark Knight Returns, the two characters that they came out, okay, let me start again. They came out with this Batman, and they came out with a Superman. And both figures did this. And I like this a lot, and I admire the care they took with this. What they did was, instead of just making this a part of the leg, what they did was they made this a separate piece to go over, to cover the hinge. So that way, you do not see it. So when he's standing, he just looks normal. And I really, really appreciate that. I appreciate that level of detail. But continuing on, he has a single jointed knee. He also has a single jointed elbow. He has a foot hinge, gets him about to there, back to about there. No rocker. No rocker. And no, yeah, he does. Wait, does he? Yeah, he has a thigh swivel too that gets you around 360. Now, let's just talk about this cape for a minute. This is the same problem that I have with a lot of DC figures when it comes to their capes. This cape is really hard plastic. It is not malleable. It does not flex very much. It does not move very much. And it oftentimes gets in the way of under normal circumstances, a great looking figure. The belt sort of gets in the way as far as his waist swivel, but it's not so, well, look at that, I don't know, it gets in the way sort of as far as like being able to twist his waist around. But the belt does look great. It does look fantastic. It does look fantastic. And I also like this aesthetic here of having the bat symbol so large on his chest, so big, and it's so clean. It doesn't look a mess. It doesn't look like it's all over the place. It looks really, really good. I like this gray and blue. It reminds me very much of the old school Adam West Even though this suit was before that show, just the aesthetics of it, the etching and the cape. This guy looks like he just walked right out of the comic book, and you can't ask for more than that. This guy looks fantastic. And for a figure like this to look the way he does, like he just walked right out of the comic book, right into your hands, you're only paying $25. And I wish that DC would, I don't know, not take the same amount of care, because their figures do look good. The only issue is that there's a lot of different styles of them. But that's a blessing, and it's also a curse. I believe I mentioned that before in another video. But they could have taken a lot of creative liberties here, and they didn't. They took it out of the comic and put it right into your hand. And that is what you want. And I think that this is a fantastic job. I believe this mold, this sculpt here, is from the He-Man line of figures. But in this case, it works out perfectly because he was a monster in The Dark Knight. He was just incredibly beefy and bulky, and he was just all of it. He was all the things. He was all the things. But this figure looks great. Yeah, this figure definitely looks really, really good. Look at the detailing on the bottom of the shoe. They took a lot of care with this. They put a lot of love into this. And you can absolutely tell from just the way it's designed. So my recommendation, my final verdict, absolutely. If you are a Batman fan in the slightest, you will like this figure. Even if it doesn't have any association with any of your other Batman universe figures, this is a figure that you want. This is a figure that you want on your shelf. This is a figure that you want in your collection. If you are a fan of The Dark Knight and The Dark Knight Returns, which a lot of us are, it was a great story. It was very dark. It was very broody. I really enjoyed it because of that reason. It didn't pull any punches, and it took a lot of risks and a lot of chances. Very similar to this figure. They went for it, and they nailed it. So this is what you need in your life if you're a Batman guy. Me, not so much, but I like the figure. You need this in your life. So if you can find them, on the cheap, if you can find it, not even on the cheap, if you can find them, I say pick them up. I really do. You will not regret it. You will not regret it. There are some articulation issues, as far as there are some poses that you just can't get him into because the bulk of the figure will not allow you to do that. But even still, that's fine. Even still, that's fine. But all that being said, this is the Bay Area's only toy reviewer, Carl, signing out.